Stop feeding the cats. Hi, welcome back to my channel. If you've never been here before, I'm Fat Sajak, and I finally found Witch's Brew. They were buy 5 get 1 free at Target. Sure would have been a lot easier if Alani just sent me a bunch. Hi, how are you? I hope you're well. I changed the angle a little bit. I hope that's okay with you. If it's not, I gotta be honest, I don't really care. If you're new here, one thing you might not know about me is that I don't take sponsorships or brand deals or any sort of compensation for product for things that I don't personally use or don't believe in or you know, genuinely feel like the product offered is something that would benefit you, which is why today's video is once again sponsored by my Emotional Sport Laundry. It is still back there, so don't worry. I know she's become kind of a main character. She's trying to take over the channel. A few things before we get started. Obviously, all relevant and irrelevant links are below. Ways to make sure you're registered to vote. Also, all the ways you can find me on social media: TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. I think that's all of them. As well as my Patreon, my merch, channel memberships, my Amazon storefront. All the hits. I'm constantly updating the autumn and Halloween sections right now of my Amazon storefronts because it's that time of year, okay? And of course, as always, make sure you like the video preemptively to manifest a really, really good video. And make sure that you subscribe to the channel if you're not already. I am also going to start using, sorry, I know this is like a lot of announcements, but like I'm also going to start utilizing my second channel, Fatter Sajak, and we're trying to get her to 1,000 subs. And so go over there and subscribe if you haven't already. That link is below as well. Okay, enough disclaimers, enough self-promotion. What are we here for today? We are here to talk about nikocado avocado because, you know, there needs to be 9 million creators who make the same video. So if you're unaware of what's going on with nikocado avocado, stick around. You might learn absolutely nothing, but leave here. You might leave here. So, who is nikocado avocado? If you have been living under a rock, which I could really highly recommend right now, nikocado avocado is a mukbanger. White people don't know how to say that word right. I'm going with that pronunciation for this video. It's okay if I'm wrong. We've all been wrong before. Every time I film a video. Nikocado avocado is a mukbanger. He eats large quantities of food on camera for a living. When he first started his YouTube career, he was a vegan, and on his rise to fame, he became basically like a caricature of a person. That's how I've always seen him anyway. He sort of ate himself to obesity, and as he grew and his popularity grew, the dramatics of it all grew. So like the bigger he got physically, and I guess technically on YouTube, the bigger he got, the more erratic he got. His whole shtick was mostly regarded as ridiculousness. I never watched a nikocado avocado video and took him seriously. And now I'm not like, I was never a regular watcher. I can't do mukbang videos, mukbangs. I'm a binge eater. I don't enjoy the sounds or the sight. I can't. No, I'm not. I know a lot of people struggle with watching this kind of content who have like disordered eating or, you know. So like I said, the bigger he got, the more erratic his behavior became. He and his husband, I don't know if they're still together. I don't know if they were really together. I don't know anything. There was these incidences of like domestic abuse and domestic violence, and they would have like these outlandish arguments. His videos kept getting more and more disgusting in terms of the eating and more outlandish in the behavior aspect. He built this sort of YouTube platform an empire on essentially what's a fetish, you know, like a feederism fetish. He would wear like a CPAP machine. He was claiming he had all these health issues because of the weight gain and the horrible way he was treating his body. In the end, like that portion, and as well as like the domestic abuse area, always felt like really like, okay, we've gone too far. You've done enough. That'll do. Anyway, so that's kind of, in a very, very, very vague nutshell, the story of Nikocado Avocado. Obviously, there's much more to him as a creator. There is much more to him in terms of controversy, in terms of outlandish behavior, but this is just the gist, okay? You know me. I'm not gonna show up here with all those facts and stories and explanations. Figure it out yourself, okay? Is that how this works? I don't know. That sounded good for this video. So why is everybody talking about Nikocado Avocado right now? Well, that's easy. Person who hasn't opened up the internet in the past 5 days at least. Well, it's been 7 months since Nikocado Avocado posted on his, I think it's his main channel. And in that video, he looked like this. And in the video he posted a few days ago, he looked like this, which has been confusing and quite jarring. So there's a lot going on here, okay? More than meets the eye. Transformers. Evidently, he has lost something like 250 pounds. The bird that apparently had disappeared during his tenure on YouTube, mysteriously, has reappeared. Excuse me, Alani. And he has come back as the Joker, I guess. Like the Joker if he was on The Biggest Loser. So the panda head at the beginning of this video.
2 steps ahead. I am always 2 steps ahead. This has been the greatest social experiment for my entire life.
Was a choice. Evidently, Stephanie Sue, who's another mukbanger, her husband always wears, like, I believe it's this exact panda head, which a lot of people have called out as being shade towards her. Now, a little bit more into the Nikocado lore. He had a, what would we call it? A situation with Stephanie Sue where she claimed that he was taking photos of her home security system when they got together to make a video, and he had like pressured her into talking about a situation with another creator that she didn't want to talk about. It was a very involved thing, and Nick was very clearly in the wrong. So that felt like immediate shade, like an immediate attempt to start drama upon his return. It does seem quite pointed, you know, to say the least, for a creator who is very good at intentionally starting drama and controversy. But what do I know? I only eat large quantities and make weird slurping noises when I do it for free. Although it might be an added perk to my Patreon. Anyway, so Nick says, basically goes on to say that he hasn't filmed a video in 2 years and that this was all a plan. This was all a plan. What was the word I was thinking of? Man, my brain is getting slower and slower. It's like running on dial-up at this point. The internet is befuddled by this man who has fooled us all, apparently. Except here's the thing. Nikocado Avocado's beef with Candace Owens happened in real time. And that was only about a year ago. And during that beef, our buddy Nikocado Avocado looked like this. So right away, it smells like bullshit. It's not your fault, you're clean. Like, the timeline doesn't make sense. And I think it seems like most of us are willing to just be like, you know what, the timeline doesn't make sense. and just leave it at that, because it's breaking my brain. If he wants me to believe he hasn't made a video in 2 years, yes, Ozempic is certainly a possibility, for sure. I don't know how quickly between like the Candace Owens thing and present day, he'd be able to lose 250 pounds even with Ozempic. And then also probably have skin removal surgery, because it doesn't look like he has. I mean, obviously he's wearing clothes, so it's like you can't fully tell, but judging by his exposed arms, doesn't look like he has excess skin or anything. So would he be able to have that huge weight loss as well as a skin removal surgery in that short amount of time? I don't know. Apparently money can buy you a different plane of time in order to achieve like 30 million views on a video. That's crazy. What a return on investment. But one thing's for sure is that Nikocado Avocado is calling this a social experiment. This being a very vague thing. I'm assuming the vegan to non-vegan to obesity to weight loss timeline. That is what he is referring to as a social experiment. But I'm here to ask the hard questions. And here's my first hard question. On what grounds is this a social experiment? What did we learn? What data was collected? What are we using from this so-called social experiment to inform our future choices, decisions, behaviors, etc.? Is it a social experiment on the societal expectations and behaviors surrounding fat phobia and weight gain? Is it a social experiment to estimate how quickly one can go viral from outlandish behavior? Because if you're going to call something a social experiment, you have to actually conduct an experiment with intention. Like, there has to be a hypothesis. There has to be a conclusion. There has to be a beginning, middle, and an end for it to be an actual social experiment. Because otherwise it's not a social experiment. It's literally just you being a clown on the internet for views. And furthermore, if the social experiment is, let's say, about how society treats fat people, but that's not what he's doing, because he's continuing to perpetuate this idea that he is also a villain. So I think that this is anything but a social experiment. I do think that the entire time, and I have always thought this, for the few times I've thought of Nikocado Avocado over the years, I have always seen him through the lens of, like I said before, a caricature of a person. I never believed that any of the... I never thought enough to take him seriously, I guess is my point. I never saw anything he did as something that was serious, because his character was built off a caricature, essentially, of a real person. And so I can only see him as a caricature. I never, like days before Nick dropped this video, I never put out a 7-hour video about Nikocado Avocado. And I think for him to... I don't know enough about iNever to have any issues with him, if there are any issues with iNever. But I just think it's really, really funny. And probably not to him, because that's a lot of work to put together a 7-hour video. But I just think it's really funny that a 7-hour video was put together and then immediately, like... a video that got 30 million views from the subject of said video, just turning that on its head. I think that's kind of funny. I'd also like to point out that words He's saying the scripted words he is saying at the very beginning of this video.
This has been the greatest social experiment of my entire life.
It's from a video he posted like 2 years ago.
This has been the greatest social experiment I've come to know. Certainly the greatest social experiment of my entire life.
So like, even if this was all planned, what's the point? Like, what, literally, what is the point? Because like, on no grounds is this a social experiment. There's nothing social experiment about it. Unless you're directly stating what the experiment was, I don't feel like you can chalk this up to anything more than a stunt. I also would like to point out sort of the deep-seated effect on actual fat people and people who struggle with disordered eating in all of its horrific forms. No, it's not anyone else's job to manage our triggers or to create content that is only pleasing for us in the world. Like, that's just not the way the world works. However, like, fat people who are seeing the reaction to Nick losing weight as some social experiment, as the whole thing is some social experiment, are also seeing the widespread like validation of someone who has essentially, at the bare minimum, created a stunt out of something that can plague people for reasons outside of their control. And I know people, oh yeah, fat people eat fat because they eat more than they eat more than they burn in a day. Yeah, some people do, for sure. Me? Yeah, absolutely. But some people have predispositions to gaining weight. Some people have medical conditions that cause them to gain weight. Some people have no control over the weight that they put on. Some people have eating disorders, which, you know, are not just for skinny people. But seeing people validate Nick, oh, congratulations on all your hard work, oh, you did it, you lost weight, we see you as a person again, that is like a nightmare. Just because he wears smaller pants now, just because the red shirt can be bought in a different size, doesn't necessarily make him someone we should be praising. You know what I'm saying? I will say Hannah Needs to Yell did a really, really good video. I think she's the only video I watched on the nikocado avocado subject, because I try not to watch any videos. I don't like to let other creators kind of inform my opinion. I'd rather inform my own opinion and then have to walk it back once I change it, because I listen to somebody else and I'm very easily influenced, you know? Sponsor me. Just kidding. But I typically don't watch commentary videos about subjects that I'm planning on covering until after I've covered them. I did watch Hannah's video. The larger effects of this social experiment on people who struggle with their weight was really, really astute, and she made a lot of really, really excellent salient points about, you know, how this seemingly ridiculous social experiment actually does affect people. It's a really good video. I linked it below. Please watch it. It's an interesting perspective. And if you haven't subscribed to Hannah, do it, because she's lovely. I don't know. I guess overall, I don't really care too much about the nikocado avocado thing, because I've never taken him seriously. There's nothing there for me to take seriously. He's always been just a caricature of a person to me because of the way he behaves. Not because he's a person who doesn't deserve compassion or whatever, like all people do for the most part. But like, I don't think he's a genius for this. But I do think this is one of the weirdest YouTube comebacks of all time. And honestly, I'm kind of curious to see where his content is going to go after this. What if the 2 steps ahead from a few days ago was actually filmed during his vegan days in the very beginning, and he's actually 3 steps ahead? Either way, he's not a genius. He just knows how to capture attention to pay his bills. Alright, that's my opinion on the thing. I'm sure I will form other opinions on the thing. Let me know your opinion on the thing below, and let's talk about it as respectfully as we possibly can. Alright, I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thanks for watching. Subscribe. I make new videos whenever I feel like it. Stay tuned for the outtakes and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!
It's alluring. It's compelling. It's gripping to observe all these unwell, disoriented beings.
It's like, does like a bat signal go up or something? I guess I should put a trigger warning that there's going to be talk of disordered eating. It's literally every time I film a video. I feel like if you know we're talking about nikocado avocado though, you're probably you know what? I probably went back in editing and put one in. Go away. Oh god, I'm so tired. Editing me is a lot smarter than the me that sits here. Go away.